Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Secretariat's Geoeconomic Show. Today we are going to talk about the summit meeting or the mini summit that was held in Washington in the early hours of Friday, Indian Standard Times, or the late hours of Thursday, according to Washington Times, between President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The meeting was significant because this is the first meeting that the Indian Prime Minister is having with Mr. Trump after Mr. Trump was elected President of the United States. Mr. Trump has been exploring various kinds of tariff options with a number of countries. In fact, on Thursday, hours before he met Prime Minister Modi, he had signed an executive order which threatens to impose tariffs, reciprocal tariffs, on all countries, friends or foes. What has come out of this meeting is really promises, not actual concrete action, but still those promises are very, very significant. The first thing is that both sides have indicated that India will reduce its tariffs in the days ahead, and probably a mini trade deal will be signed at some stage. That is the first big takeaway from this meeting. The second big thing is a promise that India will be buying more oil from United States of America. As you know, the Trump administration wants to encourage oil and gas drilling, especially shale oil and gas drilling, and it wants India to be its biggest buyer. We have with us Pinak R Chakravarty, who has been Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs and has also served as High Commissioner to Dhaka at one time, to explain the situation better to us. We have him on a video link. Welcome to the show, Pinakda.
I think not unexpected on the tariff front that he would be, blowing hot and blowing cold, although he said we will apply reciprocal tariffs on every country, not just India. But he's also said that this will not kick in immediately, and we will have a window for negotiation. And so basically it means that they will have to negotiate and do a bilateral trade deal. That's what it is heading for, because if you disregard or set aside the MFN treatment that countries give to one another under the WTO rules, then the only other way out is to have a trade deal, like whatever agreement that we do, not exactly a free trade agreement, but a trade agreement, where when you fix the tariffs and you negotiate on each tariff line that, okay, on this, we can agree to disagree, so you apply so much, I will apply so much. Or if they insist that it has to be reciprocal, then you have to agree to reciprocal kind of taxation. In other words, if we say, no, on this we will apply 10%, then the US might say, then under reciprocal rules, we will apply 10% also.
So India already buys about 15% of its oil and gas needs from the US. Probably it will increase it. It buys about 25% from Russia, so probably it will reduce its dependence on Russian oil and buy more of American oil. Though the sanctions which the Americans had on Russia are likely to be diluted because Mr. Trump, on the other hand, is doing a deal with Putin on Ukraine. The other big thing is nuclear energy, where India and USA have decided to collaborate both on nuclear energy and on artificial intelligence. So these are two upcoming areas where the two countries are going to work together. AI, because of China's sudden emergence in the AI landscape, it's come up with DeepSeek, as you all know. Let's go to my colleague Sejal. She's an expert on tech, and she will explain to us what this collaboration means between India and US.
Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi spoke about further collaborating on advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum, and biotechnology. This is being called the Trust Initiative. It is a repackaged version of the ISET framework that had been signed between the Biden administration and India back in 2022. A key focus of the Trust Initiative will be regulatory challenges, AI infrastructure, and increasing India's compute power. So why is the US deepening its ties with India on tech? Because Washington needs a strong ally in the Indo-Pacific region as it is embroiled in an AI arms race with China. China has recently released its AI model called DeepSeek, which is threatening the US's dominance in the AI space. This in turn also helps India as it is rapidly growing in the AI sector. By collaborating with the US in the technology sector, India can bolster its own position in the AI space and come up with more advanced technologies.
The third thing is India will be buying more arms from the United States, and there has been an indication that India will be looking at F-35 stealth fighter jets, which is a fifth generation fighter jet which the Americans are producing. The problem for that is that India needs some kind of guarantees on the usage as well as transfer of technology before taking a decision on the F-35s, but it is on the cards, it is on the table, that we can understand very well. The other thing is geopolitics. Even as Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi were meeting, a patrol comprising of US aircraft carrier, Japan's single and only aircraft carrier, ships from the French Navy were patrolling on the South Sea, South China Sea, outside or off the coast of Philippines. China had protested against the US fleet, which had traveled through the Straits of Taiwan towards Philippines. And obviously, this was a provocative act, but a planned, properly prepared provocative act where Trump is giving a message to China. Trump wants the Quad, of which India is a partner, and so is Japan, to be revived and to be of consequence in the Indo-Pacific. He must have spoken about that with Mr. Modi, though the handout that was given to journalists on this does not really mention Quad in person, but it would be there somewhere in the back of their mind. They have spoken of having a joint vision as far as counterterrorism, about curbing the rise of Islamic terrorism is concerned. That is of great interest because it means that the two countries will collaborate as far as terrorism is concerned, both in South Asia and in Southeast Asia. Luckily, we have Mr. Shantanu Mukherjee, former IPS officer and former National Security Advisor to Mauritius. He's an expert on anti-terrorism operations, and Mr. Mukherjee is in our studios, luckily, so we will speak to him on this issue. We will ask him to elucidate it. Yes, Mr. Mukherjee.
Certainly, the neighborhood should get focus and all on the security concerns which impinge on the security interests of India. For example, the violent disturbances, the turbulence which is going on in Bangladesh has a very negative impact on us. Number two, the atrocities on the minorities, they continue to be unabated. The vandalism of the Hindu goddess Saraswati in the recent Saraswati Puja, etc. This is one as far as Bangladesh is concerned. And the rise of the jihadi forces there, which has a direct implication for India's security concerns. These are some of the things I feel as a security expert should find priority. Similarly, in Pakistan, the developments, the growing bonhomie between Pakistan and Bangladesh, and the enough cushion being given by the Pakistan ISI. We have reports about ISI stepping into Bangladesh and their nexus. They will definitely try to take advantage of the fragile political situation in Bangladesh, etc. These are some of the concerns which I feel merits redressal or they need to be addressed there. That's what the initial reactions might are.
The other is, in reaction to a pointed question by a journalist, Mr. Trump said that he will leave Bangladesh, issues related to Bangladesh, in the hands of Prime Minister Modi. Now that is again very significant because there has been a rise of both mob violence in Bangladesh. We have seen how the house where Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the founding father of Bangladesh, used to live, has been destroyed overnight with bulldozers and heavy machinery by a huge frenzied mob, many of whom were belonged to Islamic parties, and the release of Islamist terrorists in Bangladesh.
On the Bangladesh issue, he said, I leave it to Prime Minister Modi to handle Bangladesh. I think it was a very clear signal that he's not going to interfere too much, I think, because he does, although he denied that there was any American role or hand in the overthrow of the Hasina government, which I think I would interpret it as he's protecting the America's deep state, basically, because he can't really admit that that would have happened. Although former State Department and other officials have clearly indicated, they've given long interviews to Mr. Tucker, for example, clearly laying out how it was organized. So there was some kind of, obviously, support given to the students in various forms. And it's nothing new, apparently. They were conducting workshops, etc., under the rubric of workshops, teaching and including dance classes, if you will. So I think those kind of things have been out in the media now. Yes. So in other words, Trump is saying that, well, India, you handle Bangladesh. It's not our problem.
Which is of concern to India because India does not want its neighborhood to be infected and to be a trouble spot for it. So Trump giving an indication that the local policeman, so to say, would be India is an important acknowledgement of India's position and a green signal to India to try and maintain peace and harmony in the South Asian region in collaboration with the USA. I think these are very significant takeaways from a very, very significant meeting between the two leaders. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.